Hey, what's going on, Wealthy Legacy Journeyers? Welcome back to the Wealthy Legacy Journey. I'm your host, Kendell Liden, and the title of today's episode is A Week in the Green. And most of that stems from, me trading green all week, which is super exciting. We did well on VMAS4, well on sniping, and I'm really excited to bring you guys some updates. But before I get too deep into the weeds, okay, I'll stop making puns on the whole week in the green thing. Um, I heard this quote from CJ on Air One. He's a guy on the radio, and I was listening to the radio as I was driving one day, and he said this thing was really good. I'm not sure if he got it from somebody. I'm not sure if he made it up. I don't know where this quote comes from, but I thought it was great. I've only ever heard it from him, so I'm sharing it with you guys as if he created it. But here it is. Worrying does not take away from tomorrow's troubles. It just takes away today's peace. Isn't that so good? Like I heard that and I was like, man, I need to share that with the Wealthy Legacy Journeyers. Worrying does not take away tomorrow's troubles. It just takes away today's peace. I needed that. Maybe some of you guys need that as we're looking to build our wealth, build a legacy, and especially for me, still pushing from the 5 to 6 figure bracket, trying to figure things out, trying to balance the job and the learning and the training and the family and 3 kids and wife and all the other responsibilities of life. Sometimes it gets a little bit crazy. Sometimes I worry, am I going to be able to figure this out? Am I going to be able to figure it out in time? Am I ever going to be able to break away? Am I ever going to be able to do what I love? Am I ever going to be able to buy my time back and have the freedom that I'm yearning for and I'm pushing for so hard? Am I just wasting my time? Is this just a waste of my efforts? I don't know if you guys ever feel that way, but let me tell you something right now. I 100% feel this way some days, especially on the tough days, and I wonder what the heck am I doing? But this is the beginning of fall for us here in Texas. I know it's mid-November almost and barely sweat jacket weather. I almost had to take this off and go back to my short sleeve shirt today, which I know is not the case all around the country, but it's interesting. One of the traditions that my family loves to do in the fall is we love to make fires. Well, the first day that I made a fire this week, I ended up going way too overboard and I put way too much fuel on there. So I want you to picture this. I had a cardboard box. I ripped open one side because I knew it had to be a little bit breathable. But hey, don't judge me. It was my first fire of the year the way I built this thing. I stuffed a bunch of leaves in there. I stuffed some pine cones in there. I put some sticks in there. I put the box over the top. I put some more sticks on top. And then I lit one of the, little matches, stuck it in there, tried to light it, and the leaves continued to be smothered out, I think, to a lack of oxygen. And then the box wouldn't catch on fire. The leaves, they were slightly damp. They were struggling to catch on fire. The sticks were struggling to catch on fire. So it's interesting. When you would take a step back, I had all of the ingredients ready to rock and roll on this fire. I had big sticks, little sticks, cardboard box, leaves. I had all the things that you would need to build a fire, but I ended up going overboard, not producing, not building a fire in the correct order, and I smothered it. And I thought about how many times I've done this as an entrepreneur. How many times have I done this as an investor? I've gone way too far overboard and I've smothered what I'm working on. To take this another direction, kind of a more practical approach, it's been interesting to watch Libby and the way she's approached this art business that she's been building to help supplement some income for our family. She is in the green. Last time I heard a tally from her, she has, she's up about, I think she's made like 1,600 bucks. She had $1,000 all into it. But it's really interesting because she used an old canopy that we've had. She used an old table that we've had. She used old, stuff that we've had to like stage her table and stage her area. She didn't go buy anything new. And when we showed up to the fair, especially that second fair, and there was quite a few other vendors there were several other vendors who it was one of their, it was either their first time or they hadn't done it tons and tons of times. And they had gone out and bought a bunch of stuff brand new just to start off this venture and try to see if it would make sense to sell some stuff at the fair. And it's really interesting because that's how I would have approached it before. And Libby is way more cost effective, way more saver than I am, but I'm also way more risk taker than she is. And so there's a balance there, and we balance each other out. But it was interesting to watch. She was able to reach and exceed her break even point so much quicker than so many other people, and way quicker than honestly I would have as well, because of the way she approached the situation. She didn't take this fire and overbear it with all sorts of stuff where it looked amazing and it looked like something that should catch on fire, but it ended up smothering itself. But instead, she set her venture up for strategic success. So the next time that I built a fire, here's what I did instead. I had some leaves and I piled leaves and like a pile and a little bit of a ring around my fire. And I started off with some really, really, really small twigs. And so I had a couple leaves there in the middle, the driest ones that I could find. And then I set a couple twigs up above that, like a teepee style. And then I lit those few leaves. And it was interesting. As those leaves were lighting, as I was trying to kind of create this foundation of the fire, I continued to just light one more. I'd find the driest leaf that I could. I'd light one more leaf at a time. I'd set that over the twigs and let that take off. And then once it got hot enough that the twigs started to catch on fire, I started breaking sticks. But I didn't just willy-nilly break sticks. I tried to break them in such a way where I could peel them apart. I could get to the middle of some of these sticks a little bit. I also tried to pick the driest sticks possible. And so as the fire was growing, I continued to add piece by piece, layer by layer, slow and steadily adding up a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more until I had a full fire, and I was able to add bigger and bigger and bigger sticks, and eventually I got to small logs, and then I got to big logs, and then it was burning for hours and hours and hours, and we had a really great time around the fire. The way, though, that I approached building the fire those two times was very different. The first time around, I tried to put all of the things that I could think of that it would need to have success on at one time, thinking I would just light it, it would take off, whole fire would go, and we'd be ready to rock and roll. But that actually took a lot longer, and it took a lot more materials and frustration and difficulty. And I ended up having to take a part of the fire apart in order to light it up to then rebuild it back together. Versus the second time when I built it slowly and strategically over time, knowing which pieces that I needed to add on, thinking through and slowly adding on piece by piece by piece, I had a full going fire. That's what Libby's done with her art business. And that's what I'm working really hard to make a huge difference between what I've done in past businesses and what I'm doing now in the stock market. So, with all that said, let me give you guys some updates of what's happened this week. So, in real estate, I'm on to another flip that kicks off this next week. Just finished up the last flip that is going live on the market, I believe today, this week or next week or something like that. It's over in Fort Worth. That place looks so good. I'm so excited about that one. Just got a repair amendment back and inspection repairs on a flip that I had finished up. It was that land development one we were talking about a few weeks ago. I was like first week on the market, whatever. Contracted. Super excited about that because that hasn't been happening as much lately. And so I feel so honored and blessed that somebody loved the home that I put together enough to want to contract it right away. And, that's just a great thing. And I hope it's an amazing home for them. We got a couple little repairs on it, nothing crazy. Going to be able to knock that out. Still also working on that marketing project. I think we still have a couple more weeks in front of us. I made some awesome headway on that project this week, though, and I'm really excited about what we were able to dial in. I'm pretty much now to the final offer, so the final offer pitch at the very end of the presentation, and then I'll go back through, make sure that everything's really well tied together, and start prettying it up. But I've step by step worked on a couple slides, and then I've worked to figure out, okay, here's what this part of the presentation will look like. Here's how you pitch it. And so I've kind of broken it up into a couple different sections where I build the slides, at least enough for me to have notes. Some of them are already prettied up at the very beginning. And then I'm like pitching that section. Then I pitch this section. Then I pitch this section. And I pitch this. And I'm making sure that the timing's right across the board. So that way it doesn't take too long, too short. And then I'm going to start running it all together, making it beautiful. And we will have our final product. Super excited for that marketing presentation and what is in store there. No other hitters on that Palestine lot. I think I pretty much updated you guys last time on what's going on with that one. But basically, it's back on the market. That deal fell through. Also, the Hudson Law to Know update on those deals. And I think that's pretty much it for real estate. Now, for the stock market, I'm really excited to say this is my first week to have all week in the green for every single strategy I'm working on. Doesn't mean every single trade was green. It just means by the end of the week for VMAS4, there wasn't a ton of trades to take because the market was kind of extended. But every trade for all the trades that we took, we ended up green on VMAS4 for this week. Ended up the War Room absolutely crushed it this past week. I was so busy with work and stuff like that, I didn't get to enter most of the trades, but I was super happy that the trades that I was a part of, those closed out green for the most part. Ended up green on the War Room for the week, which is super exciting. And then I also ended up green on the week for sniping. Most days I was done within an hour, hour and a half of the market open. So at 9:30, 10 o'clock, I was done for the day. I was transitioning to my real estate job and other stuff and pretty much real estate. And so, it did make for some longer days because, I'm getting up and starting my pre-market routine, usually around like 7:30. Market opens up at 8:30. I'm trading that out till 9:30 to 10 o'clock. And then I'm flipping and turning over to real estate. So I'm really getting, kind of getting my bearings at 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock, I'm getting ready, working on some texts, noon, eat lunch. And then it's pretty much all afternoon in real estate. I am very tired right now. I'm not going to lie. And I'm so excited for the day that I get to go down to just focusing on one thing. I really do believe that's going to be stocks. I've had some good days. I've had some bad days. We've had some really tough weeks lately, but I want to tell you where this week ended up. And here was my approach in it. I basically took a step back and realized, okay, there's a section of the day where I'm doing well, and there's a section of the day where I start not doing as good. So I need to notice first and foremost, when do my trades start not going as well for me? The second thing that I looked at was going, okay, really being aware of what's happening today and be slow and methodical about every single trade that I make. One of my mentors, Donald Williams, who also goes by D-Man, his rule for himself is if he has a loss, three snipes in a row, he's done sniping for the day. He obviously doesn't have a feel in the market and he's done. I don't think I'm to D-Man's level. I don't think after three tries I know whether it's just me or the market, because I don't have near the level of experience as him. But my goal for myself is not to have more than three losses in a row. So the first loss, I'll just take it as, oh, move on. If I have two losses in a row, I really slow down and go, okay, wait a minute, that's two losses in a row, especially if they were in different directions, or maybe they're in the same direction. Go, okay, I think I need to wait for some type of further confirmation. Something here is not going my way. And on that third trade, I back my risk level off quite a bit. I'm not sure if I talked about this last week. But I've come up with a risk graph for myself that I'm constantly keeping in mind. I keep it on my sticky note. And basically it's, how confident, what's my confidence level more than anything. So confidence level 1 allows me to input 5% of my maximum risk. So my maximum risk up to this point has been $3,000. So 5% of that would be $150. My or confidence level 2 would allow me to put in 20% or $600. 3 would be 30%, about $1,000, $900. It's not an exact science because of the cost of the contracts, but it's just right in that ballpark. Confidence level 4 is 50%. Confidence level 5 is 100%. And so that's just been something interesting. But anyways, on Monday, I scored 11.17%. Tuesday, 11.93%. Both of those very choppy days pre-election. And then we had our election results. Somebody was nominated. That would be President Donald Trump. Now, as he's going to be taking office sometime in January, I should probably know that date a little bit better, but I'll know it better as we get closer to it. He'll be taking office. But that took away a lot of the uncertainty in the market, is what my mentors were saying. And so they said Wednesday on should start to trend better. And then on Wednesday, I got a 34.4% up day. Thursday would be 22.23% up. And then today, 18.1% up. So my current running total for November on my P&L statement is 109.33%. Now, this is paper trading, and in October, I was down 743.1% for the entire month of October. My goal is to climb all the way out of that hole before I start trading real money. But hey, being up 109.33%. For this week, it was like 90. Let's see what it was. It was 98. I think it was 98 point something. Let's see. I know I texted Libby what it was. 97.83% gain for the week. So I almost doubled my money in a week. I was super excited about that. Now, one of the things that comes with a step forward is typically awareness and learning curves. One of the learning curves that I hit this week was realizing, wow, my sniping's really expensive because of the cost of doing business, because of the cost of the transactions. And so one of the things that I'm going to have to pivot on moving into next week is I think I'm going to increase my max risk to $10,000. And I know that sounds really big, but if I'm trying to play more reserved, I'm hitting more like 10, 20% a day. My goal was to be able to have $1,000 a day in gains. So as long as I can steadily remain a winner, there's not often that I'm using 100% of my capital on a trade. I have to basically be bullish pre-market, and then I get a max internal bull out of the gate, meaning that ticks are over, Ticks are over 300 with the 8-period moving average. And then the ad is over 1,000. Price is over the opening price, or if it's after the first hour, then it'd be over the entire open and close of the first bar. So there's lots of things that have to come together in order for me to get a max entry. So I don't usually have that much risk on the table, and so I think that will, that'll help reduce my exposure. That risk chart, that confidence chart, really helps me to reduce my risk most of the time, and really take trades advantageously. Another thing is I realized in reflection that I'm paying a fee per contract traded. And so what I've been doing at $3,000 is, in order to be able to scale in and out, I've been trading a little bit out of the money in order to be able to afford more contracts. So instead of only being able to afford, 3 contracts or 5 contracts, I now can afford 10 or 15 contracts. And that allows me to scale in, it allows me to scale out. Well, the problem with that is that if I'm paying 65 cents a contract and I buy 3 contracts, well, now that 65 cents costs me like $1.80 or something in that ballpark. But if on the other hand I buy 20 contracts, well, now all of a sudden my cost for that trade is $13 out of the gate. And so I'm trading, these smaller amounts. And so especially if you're in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and you're making like 1 penny, you're down 1 penny as you're trying to just find the direction. I was just getting eaten up in those costs. And I first noticed it yesterday where I was up, I think it was like 22%, and I was just barely up on my account statement for the day. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like my P&L shows that I'm up. I think it was like 600 something bucks. I can't remember the exact figure, but it was the 22%. But the account balance was barely up. I was like, huh, that must be some kind of glitch. I don't understand what's going on. Well, then today my account balance was a little bit down. I was like, okay, wait, what's up with that? Like I'm up 18% on the day. I don't understand. Like, why is my account balance down? Started going through there, reading through the account statement, and was like, oh shoot, like I'm getting eaten up in commissions on this. And so that's a great reason of why we paper trade. And so that was a good learning curve. And I've got a game plan for going into next week for if I can maintain profitability, if I can maintain, the way that I'm trading, but I can, basically have more, if I can trade more, a larger size, but less contracts, I should be able to still see the same percentage gains, right? Because this is a scalable model, but less contract because I'm going to buy deeper in the money. And so, instead of that contract costing me 85 bucks, that contract might cost me 200 bucks. And so I'm able to go through capital, maybe even more like $240. And so basically I'm able to consume about 3 times the amount of capital in one contract. If I can get 10% on both of those contracts, great. And so that's kind of my thought process. And lastly, I just wanted to close out with talking about Libby and some of her breakthroughs. Like I said, she's about $1,500 up. Really excited and proud for her. I'm really, just like, hey, you just take a break through the rest of the year. She's absolutely crushed it, done an absolutely amazing job. Super excited to see what 2025 holds. We do have some goals. We have some places that we're aiming for. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the big thing. So I mean, I think we talked about. I want to go back to that quote: "Worrying does not take away tomorrow's troubles; it just takes away today's peace." And as you're building this thing, whatever you're doing, whether it's real estate or an art business or stocks or flipping stuff on eBay, which we've done, or doing stuff like the tax sale, Start with the leaves. Start with just a couple leaves, not enough to smother your fire, but just a couple of dry leaves and, a couple twigs. And then once you get those warmed, a couple sticks in there, and slowly but surely build the fire up. And eventually you'll have a strong fire. You'll have lots of hot coals, and it'll be much, much easier to just set more dry wood onto that fire and be rocking and rolling with what it is that you are building. So, with all that said, guys, it's been awesome hanging out with y'all. Let's say our identity mantra together, and then we'll all get out of here. I'll say it first. You guys say it after me. I explore the unknown. I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful, and my wake is a wealthy legacy. And as a reminder, guys, wealthy is simply the ability to cover your monthly expenses without having to lift a finger. And oh my goodness, does that sound just absolutely amazing right now? As I am just cranking it through the roof. I'm exhausted, pushing on so many different fronts. Libby's pushing on her, different fronts. As a mom, as a wife, as an artist, and building her business. And I'm tired. I am tired. Um, Trying to push through as best as I can, trying to do it all well. And I know that it's gonna be worth it in the end, but like I've been feeling it. Like the last 2 weeks, it's just been exhausting. I mean, you guys know I missed that one week. Didn't even put out the podcast. This week, I've been just like, oh man, it's been crushing me lately. So maybe I need to pump on the brakes. I don't know. I don't even know how to pump on the brakes. Somebody's like, you should slow down. I'm like, where? How? um, Everything I'm doing is so we can continue moving forward. And so it's a tough season. It's a tough part of the growth curve. Um, yeah, legacy is leaving a long lasting impact on others who come after you as they receive the fruit of your labor, whether that fruit be good or bad. So, even though I'm tired right now, every day I'm waking up, every day I'm going after it, thinking, how do I plant good seeds? How do I cultivate good trees? And how do I, take these plants that I'd love to receive the fruit from one day and just keep working on them, keep working on them, keep working on them. So one day I can receive the fruit of my labor. So I hope you guys are doing the same. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm. Don't forget, in the description of both the podcast and the video, there is a link to a couple different things. One of them is the Wealthy Legacy Journey resources page. That's a bunch of really cool stuff that's helped me in my journey, and I think it'll help you guys too. And the other thing is a link to the Wealth Health Checkup. With all that said, guys, this has been another episode dedicated to you and your own personal wealthy legacy journey. Go out there, take the right next step this week. Make sure you guys let us know about your success stories in the comments and the direct messages and all that kind of stuff. It pumps us up, keeps us going. Been awesome hanging out with you guys, and I will see y'all next week. Bye, everybody.